Traveling in 2025 comes with more rules, requirements, and potential setbacks than ever before. While booking a flight may seem as easy as entering a destination and pressing confirm, many travelers are finding themselves blindsided at the airport due to recent changes to TSA identification requirements. Even seasoned flyers are being turned away at security for failing to comply with updated standards. If you're planning a trip this year, here's everything you need to know about the new TSA ID rules that could ruin your trip if you're not prepared. The real ID deadline is here. Are you ready? After being delayed multiple times since 2008, the real ID requirement will be enforced starting May 7, 2025. Once this deadline hits, your regular driver's license will no longer be sufficient to pass through TSA checkpoints for domestic flights unless it is real ID compliant. You can identify a real ID compliant license by a small star, bear, or flag symbol in the upper corner. If your license lacks this symbol, it won't be accepted for boarding a plane. Unfortunately, obtaining a real ID isn't automatic. You'll need to visit your state's DMV in person and bring multiple documents: proof of identity, like a birth certificate or passport, proof of your social security number, and 2 documents confirming your address, typically a utility bill and a bank statement. Although some states now allow you to pre-upload these documents to save time, the process still requires an in-person visit. And as the deadline nears, DMV wait times are expected to spike. According to the TSA, nearly 30% of Americans still don't have a real ID, meaning long lines and backlogs are inevitable. If you want to fly without disruptions, act now. Know the acceptable alternatives. What happens if you forget your driver's license or it expires just before a flight? Fortunately, the TSA accepts 16 alternative forms of ID, but most travelers aren't aware of them. These include passport cards, DHS Trusted Traveler cards like Global Entry or Nexus, enhanced driver's licenses, available only in a few states, U.S. military IDs, permanent resident cards, and tribal photo IDs issued by federally recognized tribes. For domestic flights, a passport card is a practical and cost-effective backup. It's only $65 compared to the $165 for a full passport book, and is valid for land and sea travel to Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean. To avoid disaster at the gate, consider keeping a digital scan of your backup ID on your phone and storing a physical copy in a different place than your wallet, like an inner pocket of your carry-on. If you arrive at the airport without a valid ID, TSA does have a verification process, but it adds at least 30 minutes to your screening and may involve additional questioning. Your passport's expiration date matters a lot. Imagine arriving in Europe only to be told you can't enter the country because your passport expires in 4 months. This is a common and painful mistake. Many countries, particularly those in the Schengen area of Europe, Asia, and South America, require your passport to be valid for at least 6 months beyond your return date. Even if your trip is just a weekend getaway, the 6-month rule applies. Thousands of travelers are denied entry each year due to insufficient passport validity. The U.S. Department of State lists passport issues as a top reason Americans are barred from entering foreign countries. Before you book any international trip, check the State Department's country information pages, which list passport validity requirements for each destination. To stay safe, set a reminder 9 months before your passport expires to start the renewal process. Don't let a technicality ruin your trip. Renewing your passport just got easier, but don't wait. The good news is that the U.S. State Department now offers online passport renewal for eligible applicants. If your current passport was issued when you were 16 or older, within the last 15 years, and is undamaged with no name change, you may qualify. Renewing online can save hours of waiting at passport facilities, but don't rely on it last minute. Standard processing takes 6 to 8 weeks, and during peak travel seasons, summer, holidays, it can balloon to 10 to 12 weeks. Expedited processing costs $60 and still takes 2 to 3 weeks. For last-minute emergencies, you can book an appointment at one of 26 U.S. passport agencies if you're traveling within 14 days. However, spots fill up quickly, especially during busy travel periods. Check your expiration date now so you're not caught scrambling. Breeze through security with TSA PreCheck and CLEAR. TSA PreCheck is a game-changer for frequent travelers. For just $78 for 5 years, members enjoy expedited security screening. No need to remove shoes, belts, jackets, laptops, or liquids. In February 2024, 93% of PreCheck members cleared security in under 5 minutes. If you want to streamline your airport experience even further, combine PreCheck with CLEAR, a separate biometric screening service that lets you skip the document checking lines. Together, they let you bypass the longest lines entirely and get to your gate with minimal hassle. However, many travelers mistakenly believe they're enrolled in PreCheck because the logo appears on their boarding pass. You must apply and attend an in-person interview to complete your enrollment. Also, bulky jewelry or items left in your pockets can still trigger additional screening, so follow the guidelines closely. Traveling with kids? Bring the right documents. If you're traveling with children, the rules can vary. For domestic flights, kids under 18 don't need an ID when accompanied by an adult. But for international travel, every child, even infants, needs a passport. The most common delays for families at international borders stem from missing or incorrect documentation for children. If you're traveling alone with a child who isn't yours, or if you share custody, bring a consent letter signed by the absent parent or guardian. This simple step can save you from uncomfortable questions at customs. Also, some airlines require birth certificates for lap infants on domestic flights to verify age, so always check with your carrier. Don't forget the liquids rule. Despite rumors to the contrary, the 3-1-1 liquids rule remains in effect at TSA checkpoints. This means liquids must be 3.4 ounces, 100 milliliters, or less per container. All containers must fit in one quart-size clear bag. Only one bag per passenger is allowed. Over 30 gallons of liquids are confiscated daily at U.S. airports due to violations. Even expensive, sealed products like perfume or skincare are thrown away if they exceed the limit. The only exceptions are medications and infant formula, which must be declared at the checkpoint. Arrive early, no matter what. Finally, the biggest travel mistake is simply not arriving early enough. The TSA recommends showing up 2 hours before domestic flights and 3 hours before international ones. During peak seasons, add another hour. Even with PreCheck or CLEAR, you're still at risk from long check-in lines, parking issues, or traffic delays. According to TSA data, cutting it close is the #1 reason travelers miss flights. Plan ahead and allow extra time so your trip starts with confidence, not chaos. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel and remember to travel sassy.